Hi everybody, it's Miss Natalie, and today for Time Travels, we are going to be talking about some of the foods we eat for Thanksgiving. So we're going to talk about some of the foods that were already in the Americas when the Pilgrims first arrived, and we're going to talk about some of the things that were brought by people to the Americas. And then at the end, we're going to do a little craft. So let's go ahead and jump on in. Okay, so here's a depiction of the first Thanksgiving. We can see the Pilgrims, we can see the indigenous Americans, and when the Pilgrims first got to what today is the United States, they had a little bit of trouble growing food. They weren't quite sure what to grow. So the indigenous Americans showed them how to grow things that they had been growing for a very long time. So we're going to talk about some of those things. We're going to talk about how some of the foods and plants from the Americas got to other places, and we're going to talk about how some of the things from other places like Europe got to what today is the United States and the Americas. So turkey. We think of that a lot when we think of Thanksgiving. A lot of people celebrate Thanksgiving by eating turkey. But we're not actually sure if there was turkey at the first Thanksgiving. We know that it's a possibility since turkeys originate in the Americas, so they come from the Americas, but we're not actually sure if the Pilgrims had any to eat on the first Thanksgiving. So what did they have at the first Thanksgiving? Like I said, we're not entirely sure. They probably had things that would have been easy and convenient, like the plants and vegetables that the indigenous Americans helped them learn how to grow. And they probably had wild game that would have been easy to hunt. But now I'm going to talk about the exchange of things between the New World and the Old World. So the New World is what we would consider the Americas today, and the Old World is Europe and other continents on that side of the globe. So they exchanged between things like plants and vegetables and animals. So there have not always been certain things in certain parts of the world. They had to be exchanged. This exchange is often called the Columbian Exchange because Christopher Columbus gets the credit for discovering the Americas. So we're going to talk about some of the things that have been exchanged between the New World and the Old World. So some of the things that were brought from the Americas back to Europe and other places were a lot of plants. So plants like corn, tomatoes, potatoes, pumpkins, all of those originated in the Americas. But there were quite a few things that were brought to the Americas that never originated there. So a lot of animals like horses, cows, pigs, chicken, sheep. All of those things were brought to the Americas at some point because they weren't already there. Another big thing that was brought to the Americas was sugarcane, so they could make sugar. And another thing that came, unfortunately, to the Americas was disease, and that ended up wiping out a lot of the indigenous population, so the people who were already living in the Americas. So even though the exchange of things between the Americas and other parts of the world had already started to happen before the Pilgrims arrived to what today would be the United States, they still might have not had food that we think of when we think of Thanksgiving today. So I hope this was a little interesting, and I hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit about some of the foods that we eat for Thanksgiving. But I just wanted to take a last little minute here to tell you about Inspire. Inspire is an online database that you can find on our online resources page at myjclibrary.org. And I used that database to find most of the pictures that I used for this slides. Except for the cornucopia picture that was provided by Miss Chelsea. So thank you, Miss Chelsea. All right, guys, so now we're ready to do our craft. So for this craft, you'll need a pine cone, and out of our pine cone, we're gonna make a little turkey. So what I did is I took some paint, I used some yellow and some orange paint, and I painted my pine cone, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can just leave your pine cone brown if you want, because you're making a turkey, but your turkey can also be whatever color you want it to be. So if you do decide to paint your pine cone, you just need to let that set and dry, and then you can make a little face for your turkey. If you have like a poof ball or a cotton ball at home, you could use those. But I just decided to make my turkey's little face out of some paper, and I gave him some eyes and a little beak, and I just glued or taped that on there. And once again, you'll just need to let that set, and then you've got a cute little turkey for Thanksgiving. All right, guys, I hope this was fun, and I hope it wasn't too complicated.